of few top companies, which I infer is that maybe there is been some erosion in the value system. Otherwise, corporate has its own independent value or its own independent stature. And if an state administration has to monitor or have to put down a law in the law to regulate and monitor the compensation of the top or CEOs of the corporations, that means there has been some erosion in the value system. So coming back to what I was starting is that what was the downturn, what was the reason for, one of the major reasons for the downturn was, or economy, the recession was perhaps the value system. So it's very relevant today that we maintain a value system or the corporate, and in corporate, why I say here, because in the HR context, that in a corporate organization, if you see the functions and sub-functions and subsets of the organization, perhaps this role of a transformational and strategic role, which can be taken in or owned by in an organization, could be is HR, which can take up this lead and take this charge of bringing a transformation, introducing a value system, following a value system. So this value system, or following a value system, creating a value system, value in an organization is very relevant and very important for maintaining stability, for maintaining growth, sustainable growth, and also the last one is that what we are talking about the combating the flight upsurge is that what I said was in the beginning is the talent poaching and the talent trading. So brand trade, if you see the organization's history, you'll find that the organizations which had some values, and the heritage companies, so I call them as heritage companies, they suffered the least in the recession. Some of the companies in India, which I can really name it. If I talk about Tata's, I talk about ITC, there will be some more. In spite of all whatever happened across the globe and in the country also, but I feel my assessment, they suffered the least. That means the organization which have maintained its heritage, which has maintained its tradition, which we call it in Hindi, a Sanskriti, a Parampara, they have suffered the least. So it's all the more important that there is a value system and there is a cultural tradition. I will not take much time, and I'm sure these are the few issues, and the learned speakers here and my senior, Mr. Sinha, really he'll be throwing more light in his own views and maybe some of these issues which I have raised here. And Mr. Davas also, he is also a very experienced, a good friend of mine, very experienced, and he has a variety of, he has been in public sector, private, consultant, and he has been an entrepreneur himself. So I look forward to hearing them with these words. I thank my thanks to, sincere thanks to Mr. Harinayar, Mr. DMA, and IBA. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. And now I request Mr. K.K. Sinha to come up on the dais and share his insights.
Good morning, and thank you DMA, and thank you IBA for giving this opportunity. They have been an upsurging institution, IBA, and somehow I feel that I am getting closely associated with them, and thank you, you do well. RP has talked a lot about me, but that scares me. I thought I'll go unprepared and give some ideas, innovative ideas, which now maybe trying to push me to a couple of perspectives. We have gone through this downturn, and surge, upturn. I think at least 8, 10 times that I recall in my service career. It's has been a varied experience. It's been a varied experience. And the world over, people call it that is worse than even 1929, the Great Depression, which really rocked the economic leaders. This has been there. This has been there. Sometimes I was reading before coming yesterday. I was trying to browse on the internet if there is anything useful which I can share or repeat. And there was a Deloitte's, with a mathematical consultancy firm, come out with exactly the same topic here. The challenges before the HR on the times of upturn. And they talk of resume tsunami. So we had a downturn which people call economic, they use this metaphor, tsunami. That's unprecedented, unknown, worse than the Great Depression, etc. But yesterday when I was going through it, it uses resume tsunami. Maybe it is true. I mean, they have found empirically a lot of data of research in Q1, Q2, Q3 of the current depression, which is worse than the Great Depression. And they found out as to
on which side, their own side?
yeah, their own side.
Deloitte's own.
Yeah. Deloitte's.
Deloitte. The big four.
Yeah, correct. It's a very interesting, what's on 14, 15 pages only.
No, that was.
Very interesting. The findings don't scare you. I think perhaps there are various feedback which has come about from 400 companies or managers or leaders. They have researched or queried and have tried to forecast as to how Q4 is going to be in 2009 financial year or fiscal. There have been lot of pessimism, lot of optimism. What I wanted to say that this keeps on going. Maybe this topic is very relevant today in the current time. It keeps on going. The day you have a sunset and you have a dark night, and there is always a sunrise, and it comes. There is always a recovery. There is always a recovery. Whether we call it tsunami or resume tsunami. I think HR professionals, in the limited time, I would like to bring it to HR professionals as to how to sustainably deliver the organization or the people, through the people, as a winning team all the time, whether it is a day or whether it is night, or it keeps on coming cycle. People have been telling you all the time as to what the changes are going to take place. If you look at Alvin Toffler talking about an economic sorcerer, virtually, talking about changes in 70s, the future shock, coming to currently 90s, he talked about the power shift. They keep on talking, telling you, creating awareness. It's not that it's a resume tsunami or tsunami. Maybe we scare you so that you become paranoid about things. And as Andy Grove talked about a couple of decades back, only paranoid survive. I think there should be a feeling of fear. There should be a feeling of getting challenged. And if you get into kind of a syndrome of what many thinkers used to say, that satisfactory underperformance, or even some of the companies have done very well, as Arti was mentioning, the companies who have sustained the downturn, huge companies, value-based companies. But they have been having consistent behavior in terms of people management. A very consistent, I would call them a learning organization, who have been always ready to build up their capability on a consistent basis, on a regular basis, whether there is a downturn, whether there is an upturn. And those companies only survive. Those only companies who do not get threatened by challenges of maybe one segment that, yeah, you're losing to competition at the time of upturn or downturn, you are putting people on the streets. Many of the, even the Manpower, one of the famous consulting employment organization in America, talked about Q4. There have been a lot of predictions, and there are people who are devil's advocate that despite there is a change happening, at least in our part of the world, India, China, and the rest of us, they say that the worst is still to come. And you hear somebody else coming and telling you, the worst is over, it is behind us, over. We are now on the upsurge. It's for you, it's very company specific, it's very market specific, very specific to your organization. Whether you talk of the new economy organization, you talk of the old economy organization, you talk of value-less organization, these challenges are ever there, ever there. Their intensities change. And if you have created that kind of capability in your organization, that can take the shocks of intensity, ups and downs, perhaps that's what should be your target. But anyway, you are there in the upturn, and anyway the topic is before me. I would like to suggest a couple of, first of all, one should do, what their organization should do in such kind of upturn, which resume tsunami or whatever, should train their HR people. HR people always perceive that they are the best, and they are absolutely updated as compared to the rest of the lines or rest of the cross functions, and they are the wisdom providers, crystal ball gazers. There is a need to, there is no harm in self-development. Looking at, because times are changing, and if you don't change with time, you will decay, it will just go away. And if HR has to retain its so-called perceived or ill-perceived superiority in terms of delivery of the best resource or best support the organization has, people, I think they should update themselves, continuously update themselves. So one recommendation I would make, if you are really wanting to handle this upturn and the talent challenge, should there be any, you must first look at yourself. Second, I would like to say, competency framework we must see. An organization has to see competency. If there are challenges coming to your business, I don't know whether you are in the new economy or the old economy. But if the tomorrow's sunrise is really going to bring a lot of heat, then are you looking at this? Do you need different kind of competencies? Are you going to require different kind of competencies? And perhaps that is required to be built in the organization. Maybe for a shorter period of time, maybe a quick snapshot of change. That's very important. I recall I was posted in the Middle East, suddenly going from Delhi, and the temperature used to rise. I'm talking of some early 1980s, 80, 81. Temperature used to rise to about 54 degrees, 56 degrees. Unbelievable. We had seen the Delhi heat, but those days it used to be around 40 and we used to feel very bad. And the robust, the Sardars and other workers who were with us, very strong, 6-footers, they would collapse like a stick in the sun. And the daylight was, the upturn was a threat. We started working in the night. We changed the whole thing. We made people sleep in the day and started working. That was the beginning of the Middle East opportunity wave for Indian companies. I think it's an opportunity where you have to think what kind of competencies change are required. What kind of, whether they are competent to work in the night, whether they are competent to, you'll have to develop that, not merely. Another point I would like to add, as quite often when there is a downturn, we keep on looking at cut the pay, cut the compensation, lay off people or retrench people. Quite often it happens. And has happened in the economy. I mean, even in India, where we think the intensity was not as bad, when the world GDP came down to 0.5 or even less, many of the leading countries are going into negative GDP. India is still trying to sustain itself. We had a better time, relatively better time. But there were huge compensation and benefit issues, changes happening. If you would have read the pink papers or white papers, wherever you saw, even in the mighty companies, very big companies, huge mighty companies in India, they had to go with thousands of people and families rather on the streets, apart from compensation system. Stop the PLI or whatever you say. There is a time to rethink on that. Link up, if you are really scared for certain specific type of talent which you are threatened that you may lose, assess the market. And try to create some kind of arrangement. If money can lock in people, I don't know. But that's a different subject which I can deliberate later. Try to create lock-ins by intelligent, innovative C&B orientation. I think that's very important.